As we move into our later years, the routines that once seemed routine take on new meaning. Our bodies change, and with those changes come new needs, especially when it comes to hygiene and personal care. It's easy to believe that the little things we overlook each day, those small corners of self-care we put off or forget altogether, don't really matter. But the truth is, the older we get, the more those small things start to add up. Maintaining good hygiene in our golden years isn't just about staying clean or smelling fresh. It's about supporting our overall health, preserving our independence, and feeling comfortable and confident in our own skin. For many older adults, personal hygiene can become more challenging due to reduced mobility, changing skin sensitivity, or even cognitive shifts. Yet these very reasons make it more important than ever to pay close attention to how we care for our bodies. It's not just about cleanliness, it's about dignity, self-respect, and staying engaged with life in the best possible way. The ability to feel good in our own bodies, to move without discomfort, and to avoid preventable health issues like infections or irritations can significantly impact the quality of our everyday experiences. In this guide, we'll take a closer look at 7 parts of the body that are often forgotten or overlooked, but deserve a little extra attention, especially for older adults. From the soles of your feet to the space behind your ears, these areas may seem minor at first glance, but they play an essential role in your comfort and well-being. Each section offers practical, gentle, and safe advice on how to keep these parts of your body clean and healthy, using methods that are easy to incorporate into your daily routine. Whether it's keeping your nose clear for easier breathing, making sure your fingernails are free of bacteria, or simply caring for the tender skin around your belly button, these small acts of hygiene add up to a larger picture of self-care. And the good news is, you don't have to overhaul your life or adopt a complicated new routine. With just a few mindful steps each day, you can support your health, enhance your energy, and continue to live life with the dignity and joy that every person deserves, no matter their age. 1. Your tongue, the overlooked protector of your mouth. It's easy to think that brushing our teeth is the end-all of oral hygiene. For decades, we've been told to floss and brush twice a day, but how many of us pause to consider the surface of our tongue? It quietly rests in our mouth every moment of our lives, helping us speak, taste, swallow, and even protect our immune system. And yet, this incredibly important muscle often gets neglected in our daily routines, especially as we age. Take, for example, Eleanor, a warm-spirited woman in her early 80s who loved baking for her grandchildren every Sunday. She never missed a dental checkup and prided herself on keeping all her natural teeth well into her 80s. Still, she began to notice something troubling. Her mouth often felt dry, and even after brushing, a strange taste lingered. Her dentist gently pointed out a thick, whitish coating on her tongue. It was a buildup of bacteria and debris, something that happens naturally over time, but is especially common in older adults due to reduced saliva production and slower cell turnover in the mouth. Eleanor was surprised. She had never even considered cleaning her tongue before. But once she incorporated it into her routine, using a gentle tongue scraper each morning before brushing, she quickly noticed the difference. Her mouth felt fresher. Food tasted better. That dryness? It became more manageable. The simple act of cleaning her tongue had restored something she didn't even realize she had lost. As we age, the production of saliva slows down, and with that, the mouth becomes more vulnerable to harmful bacteria. These bacteria settle on the tongue's surface, often forming a coating that can harbor bad breath and contribute to dry mouth, gum issues, and even digestive problems. What may seem like a harmless patch can be a breeding ground for complications, especially if left unchecked. Caring for your tongue doesn't require special skills or tools. A soft bristled toothbrush or a dedicated tongue scraper is all it takes. Gently sweeping the surface from back to front, ideally in the morning when bacteria are most concentrated, is enough to make a meaningful difference. It's important to be gentle. Vigorous scraping can irritate the sensitive tissues. The goal is to remove that invisible film, not to scrub the tongue raw. A clean tongue does more than make your breath smell good. It allows your taste buds to function better, helping you enjoy the flavors of your meals. It supports digestion from the very first bite. And for older adults, it's a small but powerful act of self-care, an easy habit that can improve both physical comfort and confidence in social settings. In a stage of life when comfort and vitality matter more than ever, the tongue deserves our attention. Not as an afterthought, but as the essential gatekeeper it truly is. 2. The soles of your feet, especially between the toes. Protecting the foundation of your body from the moment we learn to walk, our feet quietly carry the weight of our lives. Step after step, day after day, they endure pressure, friction, and exposure to the elements, often with little attention in return. For older adults, especially those navigating the challenges of aging bodies, foot care becomes more than a matter of comfort. It becomes a key aspect of maintaining mobility, balance, and overall health. And while most people remember to clean the bottoms of their feet, it's the delicate areas between the toes that are frequently neglected. Despite being one of the most vulnerable spots, Eleanor, an 80-year-old widow who lived independently in a small town in Oregon, prided herself on staying active. She still went to the community center twice a week for Tai Chi classes and managed her garden with impressive energy. But one spring afternoon, she began noticing a faint itching and dampness between her toes. At first, she dismissed it as minor irritation from her shoes, but within a week, the itching worsened and redness began to spread. Her podiatrist quickly identified the problem, a fungal infection that had developed due to moisture trapped between her toes, an all too common issue in older adults who may struggle with flexibility and vision, making thorough foot cleaning a challenge. Though treatable, it took weeks of care and limited her mobility during recovery. For Eleanor, the experience was a wake-up call that even something as small as neglecting the skin between her toes could have a big impact on her quality of life. The truth is, the skin between our toes is a warm, dark, and moist environment, ideal for the growth of bacteria and fungi if not kept clean and dry. As we age, we become more susceptible to skin breakdown, slower healing, and circulatory issues that can complicate even minor infections. That's why cleaning, and more importantly, drying, between the toes should never be overlooked. After showering, it's important to gently wash between each toe using a soft washcloth or gentle sponge. Once clean, pat the area dry carefully with a towel or even a cotton swab to reach the small crevices. Avoid leaving moisture behind, as it can become a breeding ground for athlete's foot or other infections. If necessary, applying a light dusting of antifungal powder or using a medicated foot cream prescribed by a healthcare professional can help maintain healthy skin in this area. Eleanor, now wiser from experience, never skips this part of her routine. She even purchased a long-handled sponge and soft drying stick to make it easier for her to reach her toes without strain. For her, it's a small act of self-care that helps her feel more in control and more grounded each day. Ultimately, our feet are the very base of our independence. They keep us walking, moving, and connected to the world. By paying close attention, not just to the soles, but especially the vulnerable spaces between our toes, we give ourselves a firmer, healthier foundation to stand on in our golden years. 3. Under your arms, essential for comfort and health. It's easy to think of our underarms as just another place to swipe deodorant in the morning, but this small area of the body plays a surprisingly large role in our everyday comfort, hygiene, and health. As we age, our skin becomes more sensitive, our immune system changes, and our sweat glands may function differently. What once seemed like a minor step in daily hygiene, cleaning under our arms, can, if overlooked, lead to irritation, unpleasant odor, or even infections that affect our well-being and confidence. Take the story of Walter, a retired postman from Kansas City who lived a quiet and content life with his dog Max. Walter had always been meticulous about grooming when he was younger, but as arthritis began to stiffen his shoulders, he found it harder to lift his arms and reach certain parts of his body. Slowly, without realizing it, he started to skip thoroughly washing under his arms during showers. Instead, he would quickly splash water over the area and assume it was enough. Over time, Walter noticed a persistent irritation and a faint but bothersome odor that wouldn't go away, no matter how much deodorant he applied. After a routine checkup, his doctor explained that the discomfort he was feeling was likely due to a combination of trapped sweat, dead skin cells, and the natural oils his body produced. In the moist, enclosed space under the arms, these substances can accumulate and create an ideal environment for bacteria. The doctor recommended gentle daily cleansing with mild soap, along with patting the area completely dry and allowing some airflow before applying deodorant. Walter began to adjust his routine with a few tools, like a long-handled sponge and a flexible mirror to help him see what he was doing. He even switched to a hypoallergenic, fragrance-free soap that was kinder to his aging skin. Within a week, the irritation faded. More importantly, Walter felt like himself again, clean, fresh, and confident. The underarm area also contains a cluster of lymph nodes, which are vital to the body's immune system. Keeping the area clean supports healthy lymphatic function and prevents the risk of bacterial buildup that can compromise skin integrity. For individuals prone to sweating or those living in warmer climates, this becomes even more important. And for older adults who may wear looser or layered clothing, trapped moisture can worsen skin conditions such as chafing or fungal infections. Good hygiene under the arms doesn't have to be complicated. A daily rinse with warm water and a gentle scrub using a soft washcloth is usually sufficient. After washing, drying thoroughly helps prevent moisture-related issues. For those who prefer natural remedies, diluted apple cider vinegar or witch hazel can be lightly applied to reduce bacteria and odor naturally. But always test for skin sensitivity first. Walter now reminds his friends at the senior center to never forget the pits. He shares his experience with a chuckle, but he's also serious about how much better he feels just by being more attentive to this small part of his body. It's a reminder that when it comes to hygiene, no area is too small or insignificant, especially when it directly impacts how we feel in our own skin. As we journey through our golden years, every act of care we give ourselves matters. The comfort and cleanliness of our underarms may seem like a minor detail, but they are part of the larger picture of living with dignity, vitality, and peace of mind. 4. Inside your nose, the unsung hero of your respiratory system. The nose is often overlooked in daily hygiene routines, and yet it serves as one of our body's most vital defense systems. As we age, it's easy to take for granted the simple act of breathing. But the truth is, our noses do far more than just allow us to inhale and exhale. They filter the air we breathe, trapping dust, pollen, bacteria, and other harmful particles before they enter our lungs. The older we get, however, the less efficient this natural filtration system becomes, and neglecting to take care of our nasal passages can lead to breathing problems, sinus issues, and even infections. Let me share the story of Betty, a 72-year-old retired librarian from Minneapolis. For years, Betty woke up every morning feeling stuffy, her head heavy with congestion. She had become used to this feeling. After all, many people her age struggle with sinus issues, she thought. Betty figured it was just a part of aging. But after a particularly rough winter, when her nasal congestion worsened and started to affect her sleep, Betty realized something had to change. She visited her doctor, who explained that her nasal passages were clogged with dust, pollen, and mucus that had accumulated over time. The doctor recommended a simple, yet effective solution: regular nasal care. He advised her to start using a saline spray each morning to flush out her nasal passages and keep them clear. The benefits, he assured her, would go beyond just feeling less congested. Cleaning the nose properly could help improve airflow, reduce the risk of sinus infections, and even enhance her overall energy levels. Betty was skeptical at first. How could something as simple as rinsing her nose make a difference? But determined to find relief, she followed the doctor's advice. Every morning, she would spray saline solution into each nostril, gently blowing her nose afterward to clear out the loosened mucus. It wasn't long before Betty noticed a change. Her head felt lighter, and her breathing was clearer. Not only did she sleep better, but her overall energy levels improved as well. It was as if a fog had lifted, and she could breathe more easily throughout the day. What Betty didn't know was that by taking care of her nasal passages, she was supporting her body's immune system in a way she hadn't considered before. The inside of our nose is lined with tiny hairs called cilia that help trap and remove foreign particles. But as we age, these hairs become less effective, and mucus production can increase, making it harder for the body to clear out these particles. Regular nasal hygiene, such as using a saline spray or performing a steam treatment, can help restore optimal nasal function, allowing the body to filter out irritants more effectively. Nasal care also plays a critical role in ensuring we get enough oxygen to our brain. If our nasal passages are blocked, the airflow is restricted, which can lead to poorer sleep quality, reduced energy levels, and even cognitive decline over time. For older adults, maintaining clear nasal passages is key to keeping both the body and the mind sharp. For those who struggle with allergies or chronic congestion, adding a neti pot to their routine can provide deeper cleansing. The neti pot works by flushing out the sinuses with a saline solution, offering relief from built-up mucus and allergens. Betty eventually added this step to her morning routine, and it gave her even greater results. By gently tilting her head and allowing the saline to flow through her nasal passages, she could clear out even the deepest congestion. It may seem like a small step, but proper nasal hygiene can have a profound impact on your daily life. Betty's experience shows that with just a little attention to this often forgotten area, we can greatly improve the quality of our breathing, our sleep, and ultimately, our overall well-being. As we age, it becomes even more important to focus on the small, often overlooked areas of our bodies, like the nose. With a simple habit of regular nasal care, we can breathe easier, feel more energized, and keep our respiratory systems functioning at their best. It's a small but powerful step toward living well in our golden years. 5. Behind your ears, a forgotten but sensitive area. For many older adults, daily hygiene routines can become second nature. Shower, brush teeth, comb hair. But there are still places that often go unnoticed. One of the most commonly neglected areas is surprisingly simple: the skin behind your ears. It's small, out of sight, and easy to forget. But over time, it can become a source of discomfort, odor, or even infection if left unattended. Margaret, a 75-year-old retired librarian from Vermont, had always taken pride in her appearance. She had been meticulous about her grooming, ensuring her hair was always neatly combed and her clothes well pressed. However, she began to notice something strange. Every afternoon, there was an unpleasant smell she couldn't quite place. At first, she thought it was her shampoo or maybe something in the laundry. But no matter what she changed, the faint odor returned. It wasn't overpowering, just persistent enough to make her feel uneasy. Eventually, during a routine visit to her daughter's home, Margaret's granddaughter pointed out a bit of redness and flakiness behind one of her ears. It was a simple observation, but it led to an unexpected revelation. Her daughter suggested gently cleaning behind the ears with a warm cloth and a little soap each day. Margaret was skeptical. She had never given that area much thought. It was just skin, after all. How dirty could it get? That night, she followed the suggestion. With a warm, damp cloth and a touch of mild soap, she wiped behind both ears, gently massaging the skin where it met the scalp and neckline. To her surprise, the cloth picked up a small amount of residue: oil, old skin, maybe some soap buildup from previous shampoos. Over the next few days, she continued this routine and soon noticed something she hadn't expected. The unpleasant odor disappeared completely. The skin behind her ears also felt softer and less irritated. What Margaret didn't realize, what many people don't, is that the area behind the ears is actually quite active. It contains sebaceous glands that produce oil, and it's an area where sweat, shampoo residue, and dead skin cells can accumulate. Because it's often overlooked in daily washing, this buildup can create a perfect breeding ground for bacteria. In older adults, whose skin may already be more sensitive or prone to dryness, this can lead to inflammation, flakiness, or even mild infections. In some cases, people with hearing aids or glasses may also experience extra buildup in this area. The skin behind the ears can become irritated from the pressure or constant contact of device arms, making cleanliness even more important. Failing to clean behind the ears regularly can result in soreness, or what dermatologists refer to as seborrheic dermatitis, a condition marked by red, itchy, flaky skin, often mistaken for simple dryness. For older adults, the solution is fortunately very simple and gentle. During your regular face washing or bathing routine, take a few extra seconds to gently wash behind each ear. Use warm water and a mild, fragrance-free soap, and then pat the area dry. For those who have limited mobility or sensitive skin, a soft cotton pad or dampened washcloth can do the trick without causing irritation. Margaret's story is a reminder that even the smallest areas on our body deserve our attention. Since adopting this tiny change in her routine, she says she feels fresher throughout the day and more confident in close company. It's one of those little things that makes a big difference, a quiet comfort that comes from knowing you're taking full care of yourself. In truth, hygiene isn't only about being clean, it's about feeling well, staying healthy, and respecting our bodies, even the parts we don't see in the mirror. Behind your ears may seem like an afterthought, but for anyone in their golden years, it's one more step toward living fully and comfortably. 6. Under your fingernails, the gateway to germs and infection. When we think about hygiene, it's natural to focus on what's visible, the cleanliness of our hands, the softness of our skin, or the neat trim of our nails. But what often goes unnoticed is what's hiding just beneath our fingertips, the space under the nails. For many older adults, this tiny area can become a hidden source of infection, irritation, and unexpected health trouble. Robert, an 82-year-old retired carpenter living in rural Ohio, had always been proud of his hands. They were strong, weathered, and calloused from decades of building homes and furniture. Even after retirement, he still tinkered in his garage and tended his garden. Despite washing his hands regularly, he started noticing that small cuts would take longer to heal. Sometimes the skin around his nails would get red and tender, and he would catch a whiff of something unpleasant when he brought his hands close to his face. At first, he chalked it up to age. But one afternoon, during a visit to his local health clinic, a nurse gently took his hand and examined the area around his nails. She pointed out the visible buildup of dirt and debris under several of his nails, and explained that this area, though small, could harbor thousands of bacteria and even fungal spores if not cleaned regularly. It was a moment of realization for Robert. He had never really thought about what might be living under his nails. The truth is, the area under our fingernails is warm, dark, and moist, a perfect environment for bacteria, especially if you're frequently working with your hands or touching various surfaces. As we age, our skin becomes thinner and more vulnerable to breaks, and our immune systems may not respond as quickly to infections. This makes nail hygiene all the more important for older adults. Something as simple as a hangnail or a tiny nick from scratching an itch can become a gateway for harmful germs if the area is contaminated. In Robert's case, a simple routine made all the difference. He began soaking his hands in warm, soapy water for a few minutes each evening, then gently brushing under his nails with a soft nail brush. He made a habit of trimming his nails regularly and moisturizing the skin around them to prevent cracks. Within weeks, he noticed fewer irritations, better skin health, and even a stronger grip from healthier nails. Experts recommend that older adults keep their nails short and clean, checking under them regularly for any signs of dirt, discoloration, or infection. Those with limited mobility or arthritis may find it helpful to use a long-handled nail brush or ask for assistance from a caregiver. In cases where regular grooming becomes too difficult, a visit to a podiatrist or professional nail technician trained in elderly care can ensure that nails are kept in good condition. What's more, keeping the area under your nails clean isn't just about preventing infections. It's about protecting your overall health. The hands touch everything: your face, your food, your loved ones. If germs hide beneath your nails, they have a direct pathway to the rest of your body, particularly through the mouth and eyes. For Robert, the change brought more than just physical health. It gave him peace of mind. Now, when he shares a meal with his grandchildren or shakes hands at church, he knows he's not carrying hidden risks. His story reminds us all that good hygiene isn't just skin deep. Sometimes, the smallest areas make the biggest difference. Taking care of your fingernails may seem minor in the grand scheme of aging, but it's part of a bigger picture, living with awareness, responsibility, and care. In your golden years, every small act of self-care contributes to your comfort, dignity, and long-term well-being. As the sun set behind the maple trees that lined the backyard, Martha sat on her porch swing, a light breeze playing with the gray wisps of hair that had come loose from her bun. At 79, she had lived through decades of change, raising children, losing loved ones, building memories in the same small Midwestern town she had always called home. But in recent years, she had started to notice how the little things, the aches in her joints, the dry patches on her skin, the odd dizziness when she stood too fast, seemed to whisper reminders that her body wasn't what it used to be. And yet, something else had shifted too. She'd begun to approach her daily routines not as chores, but as quiet rituals of self-care. Washing her face each morning became a way to greet the day with grace. Gently cleaning behind her ears reminded her of her mother's soft voice decades ago saying, "Don't forget the spots you can't see." And paying attention to small things, like moisturizing her heels or gently clearing her nasal passages, became acts of self-respect, of honoring the body that had carried her through a lifetime of joy, grief, hard work, and resilience. Living well in your golden years is not about chasing youth or ignoring the realities of aging. It's about embracing the power of small habits, of recognizing that caring for our bodies isn't vanity, it's dignity. Our bodies tell our stories. They bear the stretch marks of motherhood, the calluses of decades of labor, the scars of surgeries, the softness that comes with slowing down. And by tending to them, by washing and moisturizing, and paying attention to forgotten places like under our nails or inside our belly buttons, we're not just staying clean, we're saying, I still matter, my comfort matters, my health matters. Too often, older adults are told to expect decline, to accept discomfort as a normal part of aging. But that doesn't have to be the whole story. With a bit of intention, a few minutes each day, and perhaps some help along the way, we can build routines that keep us feeling refreshed, confident, and connected to our own well-being. And it's not just about physical health. There's something profoundly emotional, even spiritual, about looking after ourselves in this way. It's a reminder that we're still active participants in our own lives, that we have agency, even in small acts. For Martha, it meant starting each morning with gratitude and ending each day with gentleness. For Robert, it was the pride in having clean, strong hands again. For each of us, it can mean something personal and meaningful. So as you go about your day, whether it's a quiet one or full of movement, remember that every act of care is a declaration. You are still here, still valuable, still living with purpose. Your golden years can be filled with comfort, clarity, and even joy. And all it takes is paying attention to the little things, one day at a time.